It's time for Finders Reapers. Our Stu Grimson, this time of the year, looking for bargains. You looked at that and you thought,
that blonde, that lady beats me to this sale. Every year she beats me. She beats me to this garage sale.
Does.
I got to start getting up earlier, Tone.
I like where your head's
I am
at.
not getting there early enough.
You'll see how much work he put into this because we just watched the big names that went.
Yeah.
Jake Gensel and the rest, right at July 1, right around there, everybody talking about it. I've learned being around you and our other analysts, teams every single day in some way are trying to get better.
Yeah.
So this exercise is really illustrative of that.
I think it's helpful too. Put this in context. We've been through probably, the majority of the dust has settled around unrestricted free agency. A lot of clubs are out there. They're right up against the cap. Even this time of year, you've probably surpassed the cap if you've been extremely active. So this really is a look at some of the free agents still on the board who won't necessarily have a big number attached to them, so that you could maybe fit a piece or two in under the cap and stabilize in some way. Look for this, a recurring thing throughout these folks that we're talking about, these players that are still available today, Tone, guys that have had blips on their resumes, like real spikes on their resumes at some point in the past, giving us a sense that these guys could really contribute in the right circumstances. They could help stabilize, add to, a key roster in a unique way.
I love the idea, and we're going to execute starting, as many hockey teams do, down the middle. The centerman, to lead us off, Grim Reaper,
Yeah.
Who are you looking at as a Finders Reaper in the middle?
So number one piece for me, Nick Cousins.
Okay.
Of course, spent a good chunk of time. He's bounced around a good bit to this point. Most recently, a center with the Florida Panthers. 30 years of age, kind of a down year for Cousins last year, just 15 points over 69 games, but no shock to anybody watching this program. Hey, guess what? Those Panthers, they're pretty deep. Tough for a guy like Cousins to find meaningful playing time. And I'll tell you what, this choice for me, Tone, is as much out of necessity as anything. For whatever reason, there aren't a lot of experienced centers available at this stage post unrestricted free agency deadline. So Nick Cousins to me is a guy that he's not going to drive a line. He's not going to be your number one, number two C even perhaps, but a guy that can kind of give you some stability from a deeper part of the roster, play some meaningful minutes for you.
Stability is right. After his team won the Stanley Cup, he's in uniform on the ice celebrating with his wife. Jason Demers and I interviewed both of them. What a likable and engaging young man. So that's where you start at center. We go left wing. Who are you looking at?
Jacob Vrana, kind of an off-the-board pick without question. A rocky set of circumstances for Vrana, especially during his time as a St. Louis Blue. Early in the season, ends up in the substance abuse program. This is a reclamation project to be sure. 28 years of age. He's coming off a ticket that earned him $5.25 last year of that contract, or the average, AAV of that contract. So this is a guy who, again, has demonstrated not that long ago, 24, 25 goals while a member of the Washington Capitals, was a meaningful contributor to a championship season, a championship team way back when. But this is a guy, to me, Tone, that, again, given the right set of circumstances, he comes back. He's looking for an opportunity to kind of put this year behind him. Jacob Vrana could be a very motivated individual and give you important minutes from the left side.
I love the concept of the reclamation project going back to the Caps. We think about Evgeny Kuznetsov and what he did with the Carolina Hurricanes right along those lines. We got to pick a wing on the other side. Who are you looking at?
How do you like Daniel Sprong?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think this is a guy that, again, for any roster you plug him into, I think you're going to get a real pop. 27 years of age. He's a Detroit Red Wing the last couple of years. He's coming off a ticket that paid him $2 million per. He may end up somewhere around there. I think he makes a case to kind of justify that. And again, for what you're getting, a guy that last year with Detroit was a 43-point player, 18 goals, came just shy of 20 goals, going back a couple of years in time. 21 goals, a 46-point player with the Seattle Kraken. Daniel Sprong, to me, might be one of the most overlooked and perhaps one of the next kind of pins to fall, assets to fall to ultimately secure a contract. But Daniel Sprong, to me, is one of the shinier pieces on the board still at this point. This is a guy that I think could make an impact on maybe even an elevated part of the roster, appearing, again, depending on the circumstance, maybe appearing in the top 6.
I like where your head's at, and I think about if Emeril Lagasse offered you a grilled cheese sandwich, you'd be like, I've had grilled cheese sandwiches before, but it's Emeril.
But it's Emeril.
When Steve Yzerman makes a move, I think Steve Yzerman made this move. So there's credibility there. He was, of course, a teammate of Stevie Y. Now we're going back end, a defenseman. First D you pick is who?
Shillington.
Okay.
How do you feel about Shillington?
I love it.
Yeah. I think this, too, is really an overlooked individual. Of course, he's coming off a couple of solid years with the Calgary Flames, but Oliver Shillington, to me, is a solid, stabilizing piece. Again, a deeper defense core. Maybe he doesn't appear in your top 4, but can be a really important, impactful 4 or 6. A guy that 31 points in his platform year, if you go back to 21-22, a member of the, I believe he was with Calgary back then. Yeah. And he really kind of gets paid on that platform year. So this is a guy, given that he's waited for a good while to be selected through to find a suitor in unrestricted free agency. This is a guy that may be looking to take a discount, but again, giving you important minutes in kind of a 15 to 18 minutes a night range, kills penalties, and again, some offensive upside that we just haven't seen in his immediate past.
Smart hockey people say, we can't ask a guy to do something he's never done before. So I like your thing about blips on the radar and some muscle memory that they can draw on. We need another D, another blue liner. Who is it?
If Sprong is the most attractive forward piece on the board still, in the bullpen left at this point, for me, Tony DeAngelo is a guy that I think will attract some attention here in the very near future. Of course, he's bounced around a good bit during his career. 28 years of age, coming off a year where he's paid $1.68, a real bargain for what this young man's contributed with Carolina last year. But this is a guy, you go back a couple of years in time, he's a 50-point player. Again, we're talking about a defender here, Tony. A 50-point player and a guy that can run a power play. He's really comfortable with the puck. In the offensive zone, kind of straddling the line, walking the line, making hockey plays happen. But I like Tony DeAngelo. I think this guy has matured a lot over the course of his career. For him to be able to settle down somewhere, button down to a 3-year contract, that could be a real nice piece for any GM out there that's looking to bolster their decor.
His confidence in himself never wavers.
Unshakable.
And one thing we've seen, everybody who excels in sports has to have confidence. You got to have it in the crease, too. You've got to pick a goalie, and this is maybe my favorite pick you make. Go for it.
This tiny little country called Finland, goaltending manufacturer.
Yes.
They really know how to churn them out for whatever reason. But Kevin Lankinen, to me, again, I don't think at this stage in his career, Kevin Lankinen is going to step into any roster. I don't think the expectation kind of fits for Kevin Lankinen to kind of step in and be anybody's number 1 at this stage of his career. But at 29 years of age, coming off a $2 million AAV while 2 years with the Nashville Predators, Kevin Lankinen is kind of demonstrated over the course of his rather brief career to this point, while with Chicago, while with the Nashville Predators. He's had seasons in each of those where he's had a really impressive record. Take Chicago going back to 2021, 17, 14, and 5 with a .909 save percentage. Pretty impressive.
Yes.
Just last year, while a member of the Nashville Predators, the 23-24 season, again, pretty solid record for a guy that's just taken on south of 20 starts, 11-6-0, a .908 save percentage. That save percentage, Tone, is several marks above the league average. Kevin Lankinen has proven he can be a real nice complement to a formidable number 1.
UC Soros, obviously beloved and deservedly so. I'm always taken aback. Anytime you talk to personnel people, they add together the money spent on the goalie, and they don't want that number to be super high.
Yeah.
And that, to me, seems really appealing about Lankin and talking about him being a couple million.
Yeah, I think really, in the last handful of years or so, I think managers have learned, you don't need to blow your brains out on a single goaltender or that position, really, for that matter. You can button down top end, we're talking well above average goaltending for something in a range of $5 to $6 million, relatively speaking, pretty good value, assuming you're getting somebody that can carry meaningful wins for you. But again, Lankinen could be a nice $1.5 million to $2 million 1 year, 2 year deal to shore up that kind of an asset.
I'm sold. This is why it's finders reapers. We've done this before. I hope we keep doing it.
Cap conscious considerations.